Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome to Love Hoops. I'm Max Williams, also known as Flagrante Sports. I'm here with Cameron Fitzpatrick, and today we are going to be talking all about the NBA trade deadline, our favorite trades, our least favorite trades. We're going to be talking about the Giannis trades and everything like that. Let's get right into the video. All right, so I think we get started with the Giannis trade talks. You know, you're a Bucks fan, you're a Giannis fan. You know, how do you feel about those trades? Do you think Shams was just blowing it up for the Twitter views? You know, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, man, I don't know. For a little bit there, I actually did believe all the talks. I was like, oh, yeah, he's gone. But, you know, in the end, I do think it's a safe, obviously, for Milwaukee to keep him. Mm-hmm. I think they just want to kind of ride it out. We do have him for, 2 more years.
Yeah.
I think trading him now wouldn't have been the right move. I don't think we really saw what we needed for him to get in return. I think it came out they were asking for like 5 or 6 picks.
Yeah.
No team's willing to give that up.
Yeah. I mean, I did see a lot of trades like to the Warriors for, Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, Pods, and then it was like 4 first-round picks.
Right.
And I understand, the Bucks side of it, wanting to build for the future. You saw with what OKC has been able to do, they got all those picks because of, the Russ trade, I'm pretty sure. There were a few picks in that.
Paul George
100% was huge for the picks. I still think they're even reaping the benefits of that trade.
For sure.
And it's like, we'll talk about that later as well. But, it's just so, I understand why Milwaukee is trying to get as much as they possibly can because Giannis is so generational.
And as a Bucks fan, it is also reassuring. We don't have to just go away and just trade him something quick for maybe 1 or 2 picks. We get 5 picks in return.
I mean, I'm happy that Giannis is staying in Milwaukee. It's been a thing for 11 years now. So.
Yeah. I also saw reports that he wants, whenever he gets back from his injury, because he's injured right now, whenever he gets back, he actually does want to make a playoff push.
Yeah.
And he actually does want to play with the squad this year. So.
I think it will be very difficult for the Bucks to get into playoff, maybe play in. But at this point, I think it's better for the Bucks to just go out and just tank the rest of the year. You're already super low on the seeding, but I think it's better if you just go and tank the rest of the year. Maybe they even trade that young piece or that pick to go get somebody who can play with Giannis right now because he's getting towards the latter half of his, NBA prime.
For sure.
Now we'll move on to the our favorite trades because I think we've talked enough about Giannis. But yeah, that was a huge talking point of this, trade deadline. It's been a talking point for a season and a half basically. So yeah, I think that was just good to talk about because everybody's been he's getting traded at the deadline. It's happening. So now we're on to our favorite trade of the deadline. I think Cam should start since I talked my tail off there. But yeah, give us your favorite trade from the trade deadline.
All right, so my favorite trade is kind of one-sided, but I do like Harden for Garland.
Ooh, yeah.
Harden going to Cleveland. I mean, they're in a win now. Obviously, they trade away their young guard for an older guard. Mm-hmm. I think Harden can get it done in the East. I think they can compete now in the East. There was kind of questions there for a while if they could really compete. They're high in the standings, but if they can go far in the playoffs. And yeah, for the Clippers, they basically just blow up their whole team this deadline. They trade away Harden. They trade away Zubac to the Pacers. I don't really know what they're doing because you blow it up now, but you don't even have your pick. The Thunder have your pick.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I don't think that's going to be great for the Clippers moving forward. But for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I do think that there's something in store there. I think they can go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, and watching Darius Garland, get traded after what's been kind of lackluster from him in Cleveland. The health's been a big issue his whole career. He's not been able to stay healthy. There's been basically no playoff runs where he stayed healthy. And so now they go out and get James Harden, who can help them win now, who can help them, build around, Donovan Mitchell and go win a championship.
For sure. All right, you want to get into your favorite trade?
Yeah. All right, so now for my favorite trade. I'm a huge fan of the Jaren Jackson trade to Utah. I love this situation for Jaren. I think, also shout out to Memphis because, they're finally blowing it up. They were going to try to trade Ja, but apparently nobody wanted him. But I really like the trade for Jaren. I think him going to Utah, he gets to play with Isaiah Collier, Keontae George. He also gets to play with a few wings who are still pretty young, and Lauri Markkanen and Ace Bailey. Walker Kessler is going to come back next year, and Yusuf Nurkic has been balling out. Had a triple-double like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and think of that culture, that young culture that he gets to go back to. Where earlier in his Memphis days, he had those guys like Dylan Brooks. Whenever John Morant was actually useful to their team, he had a culture in Memphis, and they started winning games. Now he gets to go back to a young culture. I think the Jazz will do good the rest of the season. Next season, I think they can compete now.
Yeah, their picks top 8 protected. I mean, just imagine like what they can do if they get that pick in the top 8. They're on pace for it right now, but there's this draft class is so stacked. Like, imagine that pick goes into the top 5, the top 3. You could possibly get a Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, Cam Boozer. You could get Darius Akuf, to add on to that guard core. You can get even more center depth. This team is just filthy. Like, I really like this team. When I was filming the video, it was just so, like, it was crazy to me because I really did not expect it from, Memphis to just blow it up now.
Oh, yeah.
But, shout out to Memphis because now they get those 3 first-round picks from the Jazz who, are historically bad. But also, they're finally moving on from this era that, has come and gone. Now they're finally starting that rebuild, and I really like it for Memphis. They're sending away some young guys, of course, but I really like it for Jaren, and that's why it's my favorite trade. We'll get on to the least favorite trades now.
All right, for my least favorite trade, I do have, Jared McCain to the Thunder. I mean, for the Thunder, obviously, this is amazing for them. But for the 76ers, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Jared McCain's coming off of injury. It usually does take like a year, maybe a year and a half for guys to recover. Did he tear his ACL?
Yeah, ACL, I'm pretty sure. So.
Yeah, the guy tore his ACL, I remember whenever Klay Thompson came back from tearing his ACL, it took him about a year and a half to really, get back into his groove.
Jared McCain had so much potential,
yeah,
of course.
A fan favorite, too.
Yeah, his rookie year, he was dropping 30 bombs left and right, which made him so exciting to watch. And, while I was making the video for Anthony Davis, Jared McCain news came out, and it's like, wow. Like, it just surprised me a lot. It's Jared McCain. He's still working his way back from injury, like you said. But I would have loved to see him, even if he was a backup for VJ, I still would have loved to see him be on the 76ers squad,
right,
who, lacks the depth.
Yeah, they don't really have a true identity. This season, Joel Embiid's coming back. He's showing his, prior years.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese Maxey is doing amazing. They're actually, competing in the East. I'm pretty sure they're up there in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just give up a young guy for, like you said, they got the picks. But I think they could have got something more for him if they were going to trade him.
Yeah.
I think they're just loading the Thunder up more. They don't really have Shea for a few weeks. Now they have Jared McCain who can just step in there and, potentially go to his younger self.
Yeah, make the rich richer.
Right.
But, I honestly, this was one of my most surprising trades. I was not expecting Jared McCain to show up on Twitter. We'll move on to mine. If you have anything else to say.
We can move on to yours.
Yeah, so my least favorite trade is Kristaps Porzingis to the Golden State Warriors. I think I guess my biggest thing is it's the biggest if imaginable.
Yeah.
Like, if Kristaps can stay healthy is such a big question. But at the end of the day, I think Steve Kerr did a terrible job, trying to get Jonathan Kuminga developed, yeah. And it was so surprising to see that Jonathan Kuminga was going to the Hawks. And, it was just like Kristaps Porzingis for Jonathan Kuminga. Like, that just makes no sense to me. And so this trade it's such a big if, and it's such like, why would you even do that? My biggest thing is I just don't understand it at all for the Warriors, giving up a young guy who they could have possibly used in a Giannis trade during the offseason, or, going out and getting like the Matis Sabonis.
The last few seasons, the main thing for the Warriors, at least in the trade deadline in the offseason, they've been trying to get like a reliable big. Yeah. And, you go and get Kristaps. Reliable?
Not the most reliable. And, as much as I love Kristaps, that was, I think, the biggest thing when he was a Celtic was, he's getting paid so much. The 2024 championship run, he played probably 3 games that entire playoff run, which we really didn't need him. But at the end of the day, it would have been good to have him.
Right.
I don't think, we lose 3 games if we have Kristaps. But one of the things I wrote down was he's played in the NBA for 11 or 12 years now, and we've never seen him have a consistent season where he is playing 60 games. How do you sit there and be like, yeah, we're going to trade this guy who has so much potential, he's an athletic freak, and we're just going to give him up for a guy who has an expiring contract who basically never plays.
He's older as well.
Yeah, and he's older. It makes no sense to me. So that's why it's my least favorite trade. Can you think of anything off the top of your head? I mean,
I really just think the Clippers, for me at least, I think the Clippers and Bulls, just blowing it up. The Bulls going to get
as well.
12 guards.
Oh my goodness, the Bulls, gosh, they're just swimming in second round picks. I think they're in the worst position. Them and the Kings are in the worst positions to actually be good basketball teams.
And it would have made more sense, have these rebuilding teams like the Grizzlies. They have Cedric Coward and Zach Edey that they can build around. The Bulls don't really have, a duo or even one player they can really build around that's younger.
Yeah. What is Chicago doing to build around Matas Buzelis? Patrick Williams is on a terrible contract. They just are in such a bad position right now.
They've been earlier this year, they had a crazy start, and then things kind of caught up to them. But
it really doesn't make sense where they want to go. Do they want to build around Matas Buzelis? Do they want to build around Josh Giddey? They don't even have a center. At this point, they have 0 7-footers. Hopefully this offseason they do something that can put them into a better position. But as of right now, I'm so sorry, Bulls fans. You guys are just stuck in. Yeah, that's it for this. We should be back soon with some more NBA content. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to Love Hoops and Flagrante Sports. And go follow our Instagrams. Should be somewhere on the screen. He's almost at 1K, if not already at 1K. So make sure you go get him to 1K. If you guys want more content like this, make sure you go check out my page at Flagrante Sports. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Go Bucks.